Hey you guys, so today we're going to take a look at some of the common problems people get when doing most ab exercises. Hey you guys, so a lot of times people will have different reactions with their body when they're doing different ab exercises. So some people may feel tight or sore in their ab flexors, or sometimes they're going to get kind of that low back pain. And sometimes that can actually be possibly caused by your abs. So if you don't have strong abs, a lot of times the hip flexors are going to take over. Or if things are completely shut off, your lower back is going to be kind of taking the brunt of all of it. So there's a lot of different things that can be happening that can be causing that lower back pain. So with these different exercises I'm going to show you today, we're going to take the hip flexors completely out of there. So we're going to do some exercises that are going to work your abs, but give these guys a rest and hopefully help kind of strengthen that lower back that may be giving you some issues. And trust me, I know, because I suffer from lower back pain. And I probably would say I religiously do a lot of these different exercises. Some of them can cause a little bit more residual pain. Rotation is a little tougher for me, so if you suffer with rotation, that's where we can kind of try to modify things. So the first one we're going to do is probably the one that I start my workout with every day. No matter what I'm doing, I go to the gym, I grab the Swiss ball, and I do a reverse crunch. And this is a really slight movement, but what this is going to do, it's going to activate those lower deep core stabilizers, and it's going to kind of switch those on before I even start any of my workouts. And also what it's going to do, it's going to rotate my pelvis towards my face. So if I have an anterior pelvis tilt, which I do, which leaves your back in more of a crisis mode, this is going to kind of get it into that posterior pelvic tilt, which is good because it kind of gives the lower back a little bit of a break for a few minutes. Like, geez Louise, thank you for doing that for me. So what you're going to do is you're just going to put your feet up on the ball, your heels. You're going to think about digging your heels in. This is not a hamstring exercise at all. You shouldn't feel this in your hamstrings at all. What you're going to do is you're going to lift your hips up, and you're just going to tuck your hips towards your face. And it's a really slight movement, and initially you may not even feel this because if they're completely shut off, the mind-muscle connection's not even there. So initially you just may have to just do what you think is the movement until eventually they strengthen, they turn on, they activate, the connection is here, like, oh, okay, now I feel it. So I usually do maybe 8 to 10 reps. This is not a high rep exercise. And just kind of a little squeeze at the top. And then I usually give that a good 20 to 30 second rest. I just kind of let everything on the pelvic floor just rest for a few minutes before I go into my second and third rounds. And so I'm even feeling some tightness because through my lower back, because my back is so used to being in that anterior tilt, it's super tight, so I'm stretching that out. So it's pretty amazing. But I started doing these years ago, and I have not had an injury to my back after a very severe injury that I had to my back. This has been the one exercise I completely swear by if you have any lower back issues. Okay, next we're gonna go into band walkouts. This is gonna be an anti-rotational exercise. This is great for working on stabilization. That is really the number one key thing you should work on before doing any kind of strengthening or power exercises with your core. It's all about having that good stabilization system built in. That's what I love about these. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab the band. We're gonna put our hands out in front of us. I tell people to line your hands up with your belly button and never let it go this way or that way. And what you're gonna do is you're just gonna step out. You're gonna start stepping out against the resistance of the band. Even if it's just tiny little steps, this is a really tight band. And I'm just gonna hold that, and then I'm gonna slowly step back in. So there's no rotation, it's all anti-rotational, it's all about stabilizing my core, my spine. So you're just stepping out, getting a little bit of a hold, really squeezing and holding that And then I'm just gonna slowly walk in without letting this band move me. You can also get a little bit, another band that's maybe not so tight. This one's pretty tight, so this would be maybe for somebody with more advanced abs, but I would get a tube, something that's a little bit easier for you to walk out. That's just a little hint. Okay, so next we're gonna go into sledgehammer swing. So this is gonna be another rotational exercise. So you're gonna be doing the same thing with the band. You're just gonna hold it. And what we're gonna do, you just wanna make sure your feet are firmly on the ground. We're gonna grip the band with both hands, and we're gonna just rotate away from the body. So we're just gonna rotate away, come back to start. And that's another thing too. I try to tell people to line it up with your belly button again, so you're not just kind of letting the band go. So I will start at my belly button, I'll rotate away, back to my belly button, back to my belly button. So I'm always kind of in an isometric hold, but we're getting a little bit of that rotation in. So like I mentioned earlier, if you have issues with rotation, which can kind of bother my back too at times, use a little bit lighter band and maybe don't do a super full rotation. Just think about progressively getting into a wider, fuller rotation. Okay, weighted bird dogs. This is another really good exercise. You don't have to use weights. A lot of times I'll just have people use maybe a 3 or 5 pound just to kind of add a little bit more resistance. This is gonna be great for your core, great for spine stabilization. So we're gonna be on all fours. You're just gonna hold one dumbbell in one hand. You're gonna have your shoulders over your wrists. You're just gonna tap that dumbbell to your knee, and then you're just going to extend that out, tap and extend, tap and extend. So this is great because it's super challenging because we're kind of putting the body in a little bit of a funky position with that exercise, kind of having to one arm, opposite leg out. We all know that's a little bit of a tougher position, but really, really good for strengthening your lower back. Okay, here's another one people don't really think about very often, especially for all of us who have tight hip flexors, who just don't really open up too much through our hips and body. This is an inverted plank. Our hands are going to be facing back towards the wall. You want to think about forming a straight line with your body. This is going to open, once again, those tight hip flexors if you have them. And you want to think about holding anywhere from 15 to 30 seconds. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to raise up. I'm going to try to push my hips up towards the ceiling. And I'm going to lower down. So it's just another really good way of strengthening that lower back. But it's really making the front of my abs work too, because they're having to hold up my lower back. So really good. It really just feels like it's opening up everything that tends to be kind of hunched all together. Side plank leg lift for number 5. Another one of my favorites. Yeah, you can never do enough side planks. Okay, so with this one, what we're gonna do is we're gonna be working in the frontal plane. This is gonna get our stabilizers working. This is gonna isolate the obliques. If you wanna make it even tougher, you can lift your leg, but for now, all I want you to do is just go into a side plank here. You're just gonna hold, your hip is gonna be up. Think about keeping a straight line with your body, keeping your head back. And like I said, to make it a little bit tougher, you can do a leg lift. And that's just gonna put a lot more pressure on that oblique. It's gonna make it work a little bit harder. But if we're always kind of working, you know, here, and even if we're always here in the planks, which is great, we kind of want to remember that there's like a side of us too here. So it's kind of strengthening everywhere. All right, you guys, I know the feeling of having lower back pain. It is not fun. We can work through it. We just have to be patient. We have to think quality over quantity when it comes to our reps. We want to think about slow, concise reps when we do it. It's not always about just ripping out as many as we can. Even if it's 5 or 8 reps, that's all that matters. It's about slowly strengthening the lower back, activating the front of the core, because if these guys are working, this guy's gonna get a break. He's gonna do the job that he's supposed to do, which is not kind of protecting and doing all of the work for this that's not working. So always remember that. It's not just here, going, oh, well, I need to get this fixed. No, look here first. What's not working here? Okay, thanks for joining me today, you guys. Hey, hit the like button, subscribe, leave comments. Love hearing from you guys. We can kind of chat back and forth in the comment section. Thanks for joining me. Hope this was helpful.